Hey everybody, just waiting to get at least one more commissioner here so we have a quorum. I think we have enough. If you're a commissioner but your name isn't your title, please raise your hand and we'll get you promoted. I think Gene might be on here. Oh, there we go. Okay, thanks. There's another one too. At least one commissioner's not going to be here tonight and another's going to be a bit late. And numerically that works out so we can introduce ourselves in reverse order. Uh, so let's check. Okay, we've got 5 people on. I think that should start. All right, let's get started. Welcome. This is the May 2025 meeting of ANC 1C representing Adams Morgan. We have I guess, full agenda. I don't know what the right adjective is. We have a good agenda. We'll start the evening by calling to order, introducing commissioners, just brief introductions. We'll get into more comments on our SMDs and committees in a bit. 1C09, how about we start with you?
Hi, everyone. I'm Catherine, and I represent 1C09, which is 16th Columbia Road, 17th, and Calorama. So I'll pass it off to 1C08. Oh,
one more month. Yeah, then we'll have an 8-person soon. Commissioner Evans, it's all you. Once you're unmuted, that is.
Hi, Jean Evans, 1C07, 18th Street, Champlain, Ontario, from Columbia down to Florida Avenue. Hi, everybody.
How's it going? I think Commissioner Laughlin's not going to be here, so we'll skip 1C06. 1C05?
Scott Olson, 1C05. This is the middle of Lanier Heights from about the Safeway down to the zoo. And at a request from a constituent, I will say that I am joined by the lovely kitten who also lives in 1C05, but didn't vote for me. Okay, over to, I guess that's you, Peter. No, sorry, Marie-Elise. Commissioner Diamond.
My turn. Hi, everybody. Marie-Elise Diamond, 1C04, Biltmore Street and Calvert, Adamsville, a little bit of 19th, a little bit of 20th. And I don't have a cat.
Pets cannot vote on any motions to the commission. So 103, Peter Wood, 103, and I represent the single member district, kind of in the middle, 18th to 19th, Biltmore to Wyoming. 1C02, Commissioner Clements. You're still on mute. Once one's not here, we can do this patiently. It's no rush. Okay, well, 1C02, glad to have you here. I don't remember the boundaries off the top of my head, and I should. So it's southwest-ish corner, but not quite as far as southwest as 1C1 is represented by Commissioner Michelson Horowitz, who said he'll be here in a little bit, so he can introduce himself when he joins the meeting. So to start, just to, I guess, prove tonight's meeting agenda. Anyone have, oh, there we go. Commissioner Michelson Horowitz, perfect time. Just got to you for introductions.
Wow, great timing. Hi, Daniel here. I'm in 1C01. That's the southern end of the neighborhood. That's bounded by Florida on the south, Wyoming on the north, and then 18th roughly on the east, and Connecticut and Columbia on the west. And as I mentioned a few times previously, this is my last general meeting as I'm moving just a few blocks away, but outside of my SMD. So I'll be passing on the torch. But it's been great to serve here. So let's get with the agenda.
Yeah, really, I mean, I will have other ways besides this meeting to express this, but really I've enjoyed getting to work with you as commissioner, and Can't speak on behalf of the whole neighborhood, but I know a lot of the neighborhood appreciates the service you've done. So it'll have to change form into different ways, but as an elected official, it's been great. So yeah, considering tonight's agenda, Commissioner Olson, do you have any last minute additions from treasurer perspective? I don't recall if you've posted anything on
No,
that.
I do not. Not this time.
Just
My
making
first
sure.
time not doing that. Yeah.
That's good. It's okay if it happens, but yeah. So anyone else have any issues with the agenda? Any last minute additions you want to propose? Okay, there's a couple items that weren't late agenda items, but they didn't go through committee, so I can address, or at least, yeah, there's two, I think. We can address those later. But all those in favor of approving tonight's agenda, please say
Oh,
aye.
wait, hold it. I have one thing.
Yeah, I have to
I
make a motion.
don't,
No, go ahead.
yeah, I don't know if there's time for us to discuss, if we could put on the agenda ways that we could support World Pride. I don't know if that's the thing that you had wanted to put on, but I know like World Pride will have already started by the time we have our June meeting. So I don't know how we would put that on our agenda, but just like a quick discussion on what we could do.
Yeah, so I'll second that. All's in favor of just a quick general World Pride support discussion
Yeah.
at the meeting, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, any abstentions? Okay, I'll add that on. And move that we support or approve tonight's agenda. Can I get a second, please?
Second.
All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, we got an agenda for tonight. So we'll begin with the commissioner updates, committee meeting updates. If you're the chair of a committee, address both. Commissioner Michelson Horowitz, I want to start with you again, and we'll go back up.
Sure. Well, in my last updates, a couple things. Reached out to the owners of the Universal North and South Towers. That is the tall buildings that formerly held the Buca de Beppo, the Staples, or was it Office Max? I can't recall. And the post office and several other businesses and offices that's slated for redevelopment into 500 to 600 apartments in the southwest corner of the neighborhood. And they said they are much closer to getting financing, but they are not ready to start construction yet. They will update when they are ready, and they'll have a community meeting to discuss the logistics around that. I'm also hoping to convince them to help the nearby Oyster Adams Middle School with alleviating parking concerns for their teachers, many of whom come outside the neighborhood. Because they are required to be bilingual, and the parking lot is not growing, but the school is growing, and then yeah, related to the school construction, please reach out if you have any questions, concerns as it wraps up. The school looks great, the crane's down, but there's still, of course, construction and parking restrictions. Those will be lifted over time. I have reached out to DCPS in the last few weeks about their plan for the school drop off and pick up congestion on 19th Street and ways that we can make that safer. One recommendation I've heard is a stop sign on at the corner of Vernon and 19th, where there is currently not one. But I'm going to work with DCPS, and we did not have a PZT meeting this past month. However, there is an item on our general agenda from the prior month, which is the Biltmore Triangle Garden and murals. Thank you, Marie-Lise, for taking the lead on that. And that's all for SMDC 1C01. Thanks.
And I'll just note that I accidentally messed up the order for this. So if you're also an officer, just do officer reports. Anyway, 1CO2, Commissioner Clements. Any SMD updates? And if not, that's okay too. If we can get
Sorry,
you
I think the audio should be working now.
Yeah.
I have been coordinating with DPW about more mistrash reports. I don't know why this has been a bit of an epidemic in our area. Other than that, not much. And I think all of that should be fixed. And hopefully it's the last of it. I don't know if anyone joined today who's experiencing those issues, but I've been answering a lot of those emails. And I think that's all for us right now. Yeah, just tuning in.
Perfect. Appreciate it. So I'll start with chairperson report. 1CO8 has been vacant since the beginning of this calendar or this term, so almost calendar year, off by a day. There was one person who pulled petitions, so got 25 plus signatures, passed a challenge period, didn't have an opponent, so they get the position from that. And I think that it has to be posted in the DC Register first that happened, which is going to happen on the first Friday after the results with no actual voting happening are approved, which is going to be Friday to 2 days. And DC's Board of Elections said that they can get sworn in the earliest the noon the day after, just for future reference if anyone finds them in a position needing to know this timeline for some reason. So basically Saturday is the earliest we can have that position filled. So I'm not able to join, so we are not able to have a full commission for this meeting. So might be a month or two until we get another opportunity to have a full one, depending on how the Board of Elections process goes for the soon to be vacant 1C1 position. But in any case, good to get a vacancy filled. Also got an email, I think today, from a representative of DDOT. They said that there was a proposal or to put a crosswalk on the Wyoming block of Columbia, I believe, and they're not going to do that anymore due to a lot being, I think, 11 people, but less than 15 people emailing say they didn't like that idea. So DDOT was responsive and has decided to step back those ideas and still working ahead on the California crosswalk that they've been developing the plans for as well. And then also more broadly, I guess this is an ANC 1C issue, but also kind of in DC in general. I don't want to get into too much detail because I don't think this is the best platform, but migrant populations and federal issues dealing with rating of different institutions has been happening the last couple of days. It's not exactly an ANC issue, like I said, but commissioners can often be helpful liaisons in that process of keeping our constituents and neighbors safe. So please, if you feel compelled to do so, feel free to reach out to me or to your commissioner if they've communicated openness to that, because it's scary. Then let's see, ABC committee announcements. We'll have a meeting next week, regularly scheduled agenda. As was the case I think last month and maybe the month before, we're in restaurant liquor license renewal season. So we have a lot of those on the agenda tonight. It doesn't necessarily mean we have to really do or even discuss anything, but it is the formality of the process. Also why any place that's applying for a renewal has a red sheet of paper with a white sheet of paper on top of it in the front of the restaurant. It doesn't really amount to a ton of practice in most cases because a lot of these places are following the rules and just trying to stay in business. But in the event that there's an issue, which there was at least one this last, oh, and then also we had the town hall meeting that was really good. An issue that was addressed at that meeting, which was an unofficial meeting. We didn't vote on anything, but I'll discuss it later. The owner was helpful and responsive, but that's the type of thing where we can address and try to understand if a potential problematic actor is one actually problematic, and two, if so, what can be done about it? I don't foresee many issues with that, but I'll get into it later. Breathe. 1CO3 single member district updates. Still waiting on the Department of Parks and Recreation to get back about some sort of timeline for using the $2 million that we helped get for Colorado Park erosion efforts. It's there. I keep asking for confirmation that the state of affairs with the federal government and DC's local budget won't put that at risk. I've been told it's safe as far as we can tell, as far as anything is able to be safe these days. that is, hopefully. And then also, what else? I think there's other things. Also, just kind of a broad issue as well, but I've testified a lot of just in what terms of 1CO3, domestic violence is one of the things that is especially at risk because of all these budget issues. And I know the DC Coalition against domestic violence has been pretty strongly advocating to try to get support for that. There's a lot of issues at hand too, so maybe we can discuss that further. But that one, just as 1CO3 commissioner, has stuck out to me, and the people in that world have been doing a lot of pushing to try to get help because it's especially scary because it means it's the particular issue where budget crunch can result in physical violence. So that's not great. I'll stop there. Appreciate everyone listening to me, and we'll move to 1CO4.
104. Hello, everybody. First of all, I just want to acknowledge that we have a huge number of people watching this meeting, which is really great. 36 people. It's, I think, our biggest meeting of the year. So I want to start with just giving some shout outs for what's going on in 1CO4. Mailbox. So it is a community initiative, the Calvert Street Loop. Some neighbors just got together and decided that we needed a hyper local paper. And I just want to applaud that initiative. And at some point I will put in the chat how you can contact the paper, but I think it's really great when citizens see that there's a need and just step up to fulfill the need. So that's really great. I just want to say also we had a very successful neighborhood-wide cleanup on the 27th, where all of us sort of pitched in and took different streets, and the streets are still looking really great. So thank you for all the community support, because it's really building community and making our neighborhood look great. I've been attending a couple of caucus meetings. There's been no movement on the derelict building on Ontario Road, so nothing to report there. The mega giant huge yard sale is coming up on the 17th, so there have been multiple announcements on digital apps about that. So just be on the lookout for lots of traffic in the neighborhood. And also there was lots of traffic in the neighborhood over the past weekend for Porch Fest, and that seemed to be very successful also. So it seems like we are doing a lot of things. There are a lot that within our neighborhood, and also things that bring people into the neighborhood, which is all good. So that's my report.
You just reminded me, Commissioner Evans has her table, and I'll get it and bring it to you from Porch Fest. Thank you for lending that for the cause. 1CO5, all yours.
Thanks. And Commissioner Diamond, I got an email from a constituent who's on the border of our districts who was asking about 2920 Ontario. So I'll be happy to send that along, because I think it'll be interesting. I'm going to do treasurer business first. This is the May 2025 treasurer report. The current balance in our account is $16,101.43 with no checks or payments outstanding. Last month, just after our April meeting, we received our fiscal year 2025 Q3 allotment. Confusingly, whether or not we get the Q3 allotment is based on the completeness of our Q1 financials, according to the satisfaction of OANC. So this is now the second allotment I think we've received since I've been treasurer. I don't foresee any major problem, and I expect we'll continue to really receive allotments on schedule. If so, based on some computations based on our current spending practices, we would end the year with approximately $20,000 in our account. So I think the question now for the commission is actually going to be a bit more how to, rather than how to string along and survive, but how to actually use a funding stream that we have to some benefit for the community. I'm still in the process of closing out this archaeology in the community grant, and I'll also note that our taxes were filed late, so there's a chance for fees or for our contractors having some kind of penalties. I won't continue to give updates on this, but there it is. We'll deal with it if and when it happens. As far as updates for me in 1CO5, it was really great to meet some of you at the town hall. It was a lot of fun. Some folks whose names I recognize by email and some whose I recognize from the street. So thank you so much for those who came. Some topic items that came up there that if you're interested in these, please send me a message, and/or I'm going to be talking to their commissioners in the next month. The Commander Stadium, it seems like there's some appetite for ANCs around the city to make a statement, right? This isn't in our ANC, but what goes on in the city affects the budget and affects some other factors that will be relevant to us. Safeway and CVS trucks on the street, so sort of like the ongoing Columbia Road optimization questions. A constituent brought up this question about Tail Up Goat, which is one of the restaurants right at the corner of like Adams Mill and Columbia, basically. It's actually on the street behind. They have a streetery space that is actually on linear, like on a street that's behind. And so he had a question of what's going to happen with that if the restaurant closes or changes hands, which I think is a really interesting question. And just yeah, I think that's the last one. A bunch of other little threads, but I'll stop there. Such a pleasure to be connected to more folks. So please feel free to send in a note or an email if you want to talk about any of this stuff. Over to, oh my gosh, who's next? 06? Do we have an 06?
Commissioner Evans, 107.
I can never keep these straight. Over to you, Commissioner Evans.
Hi, everybody. Updates. Last night I attended for the second week in a row the Marie Reed soccer incidents that's been going on there with the what is it, the Vola and the other group. Happy to report no incidents. Everybody's getting along fine. So, let's keep our fingers crossed that it remains that way. Also, this weekend is going to be a big weekend because it's Mother's Day weekend and the vendors are coming back in full force this Saturday to Unity Park, the farmers market. So I know last week it was just the bakery vendor, but this weekend we're anticipating all the vendors back. So that should be really nice. So, and that's pretty much it for me right now. Thanks.
Thank you, Commissioner Swanson Palmer. All you.
Thanks. I'll do secretary updates first. All committees except for PDT had their meetings this month. And the May meetings are scheduled as they usually are, which is the ABC meeting on the first Wednesday, PZT on the second, PSC on the third. So that'd be May 14th for the ABC meeting, May 21st for PZT, and May 28th for PSC, all at 7 p.m. We did once again put up paper flyers for this meeting tonight. We've done that since, I guess, February. We'll do it again. And I have begun posting about the meetings on Nextdoor. So hopefully that will bring a few more folks to join us.
Catherine, do you want to mention our office hours?
Yes, I was going to my next update. So thank you. We have been doing office hours at the line every Thursday from 5 to 6. I'm almost always there, as are many of our other commissioners. And we've kind of worked it out so somebody will always be there. So we'd love to see you. Please come by and talk to us or hang out. And then for other 1CO9 updates, the next community cleanup for 1CO9 will be on June 21st, which commissioners, I would love to see you there. And anyone on this call, I would love to see you there. Sign up link forthcoming. I'll post it on Nextdoor, groups.io, and send it via email to those on the 1CO9 email list. And I was about to say, just a reminder, we're holding office hours every Thursday. I have that right here. And then there's a neighborhood like meet and greet for 1CO9 or anybody who wants to come, but focus on 1CO9 on May 31st in Meridian Hill / Malcolm X Park, just trying to connect some more folks to each other and get to know everybody who lives around here. So would love to see you there. And that concludes my updates.
All right, thank you. Next item on our agenda is a brief update from someone from PEPCO, I'm not sure who, on the Champlain substation project. If you're here from PEPCO, could you raise your hand? I don't see Travorce, who I thought was going to be speaking, so it might be someone else. Or we might not get an update this month, which would be okay. Okay, we got one. Or maybe they're on a pseudonym. That would be my fault. We have two hands up.
Hello, this is Travorce. Can you hear me?
We got it. Welcome. It says E9 something something something. Some good.
Oh God,
Totally
yes.
fine. That's fine.
Apologies for that.
Good.
Let me bring up the presentation that I have, and I actually have someone else who's on the line, Kevin Hunter. I don't know if he can raise his hand. It can be.
There's
See.
someone over Ethan. Would they also go by Ethan for some reason? It's totally fine. None of my business, but if that's the same person. Because I don't see Kevin.
Okay.
Okay, I think we're good.
Okay. Um, well, that's fine. I'll just, if he's not on, I'll just,
It looks like you're by yourself.
okay. Can you guys see my screen?
We can. Thank you.
Tavoris, I'm on.
Oh,
Oh,
there we
okay,
go.
okay. Just wanted to provide an update, to share with you guys the actual construction of the substation. I know we talked about this being part of the larger capital grid project. Just wanted to update you all that we have completed several phases of the project. The Harbor substation was complete in 2023, and then we just concluded construction of the Mount Vernon substation as well. And the 10-mile transmission line was recently completed as well. As you all know, we will be upgrading the substation it will take 3 years to complete. So we expect to start construction in June and energize the substation in 2028. We will have ongoing meetings to alert folks about the phasing of the construction. A community advisory group will be established. I know I talked with you, Commissioner Woods, about joining that, as well as the single member district representative as well. These meetings will be public. They'll provide an opportunity to hear on an ongoing basis about the phasing of the construction. They'll be quarterly. And then we will have the substation. We'll also have a green wall and other beautification elements, including a new mural, which will be discussed in the community advisory group with the community advisory group. So these meetings are public. This is what the substation will look like once complete. As you can see, a lot of the outside equipment will be enclosed. What you will see as far as potential impacts, for the first 6 months, there'll be heavy truck presence needed to deliver materials and equipment to and from the site. There will be road impacts to Ontario Road, Columbia Street Northwest, as well as Old Morgan School Place. We will take a lane of traffic on each street surrounding the substation. You will expect to see crews and personnel in the area. We have instructed them not to use the area as to park vehicles. For the first 6 months, you can expect to see frequent deliveries of materials and equipment to the site, as well as intermittent street closures that will be needed to deliver large pieces of equipment. And again, there might be some weekend work associated with this project and holiday work as well. But we will provide advance notice of when the intermittent street closures will be needed to deliver large pieces of equipment, as well as advance notice of any weekend work that is needed as well. We'll provide a 3-week look ahead that will be shared via email, and we can share that with the ANC to ensure constituents and the residents in the area have that information. And again, we'll have ongoing meetings as well as the community advisory group, which will have quarterly meetings to provide details about the construction phasing. And I will pass it over to Mr. Hunter, who will share the specifics of the construction activities related to the substation. And Mr. Hunter is with Clark Construction. They will actually be they're the contractors that will actually be constructing this substation. So I'll pass it over to Kevin.
Well, thank you, Tavoris. I appreciate it. First of all, greetings from Clark Construction. We're looking forward to starting this project and engaging with the community and coming up with the plan to satisfy our scope of work as well as your well-being. I don't want to assume everyone on this call, the 36 or so people on this call are from the area. So just give you a general area, idea of where we are. To the left of the screen is 18th Street. A couple of blocks away to the south is Florida Avenue. We have Marie Reed in the community center, as well as a residential building and some parks and playgrounds that are adjacent to the property. There's 2 phases of this project, and what I'm calling it is 2 varying scopes of work. One of them is going to be the actual building of the Petco facility, and number 2 is just the transmission of the cabling. And the transmission is just what I'm calling a fancy term for Pepco to tie in conduits from one facility to the next. and those facilities being Tacoma Park Substation or Harvard Street Substation. So we'll go ahead and start with the scope for the building. Along Champlain, we're planning on salvaging the facade. Go back real quick, Tavares. Yeah, so we're planning on salvaging the facade along Champlain Street. Then we'll be demoing the balance of the building. We're going to excavate 20 or 30 feet below grade. At that point, we'll start working our way back up. From foundation up to street grade, we have concrete, and from street grade up about 75 feet, we have a steel structure with the precast facade. So the plan is to execute that work. At that point, we'll be doing a number of activities inside the building, and essentially pour some sidewalks, plant some flowers, and clean up our mess, and move on to the next one. So that's the scope of work that we have on the building. Go to the next slide.
You want me to play the video?
Yeah, if you mind. And please feel free to stop and ask questions as we go through. We enjoy interactive conversations. So if anyone has a questions or concern as I go through this presentation, please feel free to stop me. All right. Hey, so the first phase is the excavation phase. What we'll be doing, like I mentioned earlier, we'll be excavating 20 or 30 feet, which is not shown in this drawing is our drill rig. We'll be drilling around the entire perimeter of the facility with what we call piles. Those piles will extend probably 10 or 15 feet beyond the bottom of our hole, and that's the actual main element that we use to support the excavation. So that rig will be going around the entire perimeter of the site. In the area that's represented in blue, that's the area that we're planning on using to store our material. So in terms of the traffic controls along Ontario, that's an existing two-lane facility with parking. So our plan right now, and we're working with VDOT, is to acquire the west side of the street parking and maintain traffic both directions along Ontario. Old Morgan School Place, what's shown right now is we are hoping to close that entire facility at least for the majority of the project. I know some residents may or may not agree with that, but with the amount of work and the size of work that we have to install, it's just in the best interest of everyone to close that facility down. We're looking for some input, some ideas, but just the scope of work that we have and the amount of conduit that we have to install Old Morgan, is just massive, and it's just probably in the best interest of everyone just to close that facility down. Along Champlain, that's an existing one-way facility with parking on both sides. And unfortunately, as I mentioned earlier, the support of excavation along Champlain, the actual supporting structure, unfortunately, is going to extend halfway into the street, and we just need to be able to close that facility down to actually get that safely install that system. But the plan right now is to also always maintain access or one-way direction along Champlain Street. You can keep going. All right. So once we get to the bottom of the facility. All right. So once we get to the bottom of the hole, as I mentioned, we're going to be starting to work our way back up. At that point, you'll see a tower crane. Tavares is working with probably the ANC and some of the local building owners to talk about the crane rights or the. We're not necessarily going to be swinging. We're not going to be swinging any type of loads over the buildings, but he is working with the local business owners to make sure that they're okay with what we're doing. But the plan is to get to the bottom of the hole and come up with concrete. Again, Old Morgan, right now we're showing, as you look right now, we're showing one lane open, But we're going to work with the community and work with you guys to see if it's just best for us just to close that facility down, because we're going to be opening it and closing it, and that may or may not confuse people, but and actually make that situation a little bit more difficult than it would be. But if you guys, if we have to maintain access along Old Morganton, we can do it in some instances, like this right here. But in some instances, we have no choice but to shut the facility down. But on this particular picture right here, we're going to be using Old Morgan to essentially feed the building. All our steel deliveries, all our concrete deliveries, everything will be fed from Old Morgan.
And Kevin, can you talk a little bit about why we need the crane and what actually we'll be doing, and each phase? So I know we're just for clarity, this crane will need to be installed to hoist equipment in and out of for the trucks to actually complete the construction, and we will at one point in time need to shut down the street in order to deliver this piece of equipment, and we will, notify the public, notify you all when we'll need to do that, because this crane will be actually installed in several different parts. So if you wouldn't mind just talking through that a little bit about why we need that.
Yeah, so the crane is going to be used for the entire installation of the concrete, as I've mentioned before, at the bottom of the hole all the way up to grade. And from grade all the way up to, like I said, 75 to 80 feet is the steel structure. And we're actually going to be using the crane to actually install the steel structure, along with some of the concrete shortly thereafter. But as Devorah mentioned earlier, to actually install this crane, I don't know if it's going to be best for us. We're coordinating this work with the concrete company now. We don't know if it's best to actually erect this crane. I'm gonna go back one, go back one, go back one.
Okay, hold on 1 second.
Yeah, so we don't know if it's going to be more advantageous for us to close Champlain down or Ontario to actually erect this crane. So when we erect these cranes, it takes, sometimes we can get them up in one day, depending on the height. But for this meeting right here, it's going to take 2 days to install, and it's just a massive amount of 18-wheelers that's just coming in and delivering these sections of the crane and getting it up. So we'll coordinate, as Tavares mentioned, we'll be sending look aheads, and for this one, we'll have a date probably well beyond 3 weeks to let everyone know what the plan to actually shut this road down. We probably won't use Old Morgan simply because the grade change from Ontario down to Champlain. But the plan, unfortunately, we're going to have to. There's no plan B for us to either shut down Ontario or Champlain. It's just a matter of getting with the concrete company, with the erectors, as well as DDOT, to come up with the best plan for that. Just because of the SOE, we're probably going to use Ontario. All right, so this, now you get a chance to see the footprint of the facility. Now, this facility is going to take up probably, it's almost 4 times the square footage of the existing facility, and it's going to probably take up 90% of the lot. But once we transition from concrete and steel, at that point we'll be looking to bring another mobile crane that we'll be bringing in from Champlain to set up to actually start installing the precast facade. This facade, I mean, the building is essentially 100% precast. So we'll start on the south side and just work our way around. Right now, the precast director is scheduled to start in October, and he'll go all the way probably through the middle of November. But that mobile crane right there will essentially be working its way back and forth, just installing the facade around the facility. And that'll be the first of 2 mobilizations that they do, because once Pepco gets their material in the building, we got to come back in and close it up. So the plan is to leave some of the precast removable panels out. We will let Pepco get their material in, and then we'll come back and re-erect the crane and close up the building. But again, just for terms of TCP, We'll always maintain access along Ontario. We're going to be back and forth. In the worst case scenario, we'll be opening and closing Old Morganton, and then again, we'll always be maintaining access on Champlain. All right.
Anything you
So
want to know here?
I'm sorry.
Anything you want to know here?
Well, somewhat similar. So it was one of the concepts I'm trying to grasp, and I share with you all is once we'll get the facility, we'll get the building facade, the structure up in the facade, and it's going to look like a nice finished building. But unfortunately, what Tavares is highlighting right now is the amount of cabling. I'm sorry, the conduit and cabling that we're going to be doing around the facility. So we'll get the building facade up December of 20. Let's go ahead and call it between December and January of 26, and the building's going to look nice and pretty. But we're going to be doing an extensive amount of excavation work in and around the facility just to tie in all of the cables down in the cable vault area. It's a massive amount of work, so there's going to be dirt, not necessarily everywhere, but there's going to be mounds of dirt that you'll be able to see over the fence.
One thing to know, even though he's mentioning dirt, we do have we'll have um sediment protections, and environmental, there is an environmental process that we go through. So I just want to mention that, you won't see dirt going in and out of like your homes or anything like that. We'll actually have misters that'll be around the facility to make sure that we contain, all of the, elements and make sure that it's not going outside of the actual Jersey barrier. So we do have different erosion protections as well. And we will have, silk screens as well to keep that at a minimum. And what are going to see is, at some point the building will be complete. However, there is a lot of crews that will still be in the area because we'll have to install the internal equipment. So it will take some time in order to do that. So, even though the building will be complete at a certain point, you will see, crews still there as they're installing the equipment. What this sort of shows is the truck route that you will see materials and equipment transported to and from the site. So essentially, 16th Street will be used as a major thoroughfare to bring equipment to the facility. So essentially, crews will come down 16th Street, make a right on Florida Avenue, and then making another right on Ontario Road to deliver equipment and to transport equipment from the site. The trucks will traverse through Ontario Road to Columbia Road, make a right on Columbia Road, and then go make a left on 16th Street to take materials and equipment away from the site. So this is essentially the trucking route that will be used. We anticipate this trucking route to be used from June 2025 until December 2027, and that's when the majority of the building will actually be complete. However, we will still be in the area until 2028. Just in order to energize and complete the remaining work that's needed. One of the things that we need to touch on is the fact that, and we kind of sort of went through this. This is basically saying everything that we already talked about, but there will be transmission construction taking place at the same time the building is constructed, and what you're looking at are where the transmission lines will be installed. I know that there was already a lot of construction going on preliminarily for the past 2 years, but that was preliminary work that was needed to begin the construction. And what will be needed to finish the construction and energize the substation is the installation of new transmission lines, and they will be at different areas in the surrounding area. So the process is for us to start the transmission construction as furthest away from the actual substation as possible. But the construction will start on U Street, along V Street between 17th and California. And then we will start construction on 18th Street as well, near Marie Reed Elementary School. A lot of this construction will start this summer. And then this video, what it shows is that it will show you exactly how the transmission lines will be actually constructed throughout the phasing. And so I'm just going to play this, and this will be done in phases, not all at once, but there will be ongoing construction at the same time the building is being constructed. We're currently talking with DDOT around our traffic controlling in order to complete this. So we don't have any approved permits at this time. We're still partnering with them and talking with them about the best way to actually have the traffic control plan set up. We are aware that there is construction that will be taking place on the soccer field, and we've been in touch with the contractor that's doing that work. We've also been in contact with Marie Reed Elementary School, and they're aware of our plans. We'll be working with them to ensure that drop off and pickup times are accommodated as best as possible. We have asked if drop offs could not happen on Ontario Road during this time, but they informed us that there is some compliance things that they have to do for um, special needs, because those students are received and transported from the school at the Ontario Road entrance there. So still working with the school and working with, obviously, a lot of the businesses in the area as well, to make sure that they're aware and everyone is aware of the construction that will take place and the phasing of this. Again, we don't have permits at this time. We're still working with DDOT, but these are our plans as far as to complete this on schedule and on time. We do know, that it is going to be very impactful. And so we do, want, community members to come to the meeting so that they hear exactly what the phasing of the construction will take place. So we definitely want to keep folks looped in. You will see a mailer come to your home shortly with this information that will kind of sort of break down the phasing of construction. We do actually also have a website and email address as well, that we encourage folks to continue to contact us for more information. If there are any immediate needs that should arise during the construction, please, I will be the first point of contact. If there's anything that's happening, in real time that we need to be aware of. And obviously, this is going to be impactful, but our goal is to work as best with residents, businesses, and everyone in this neighborhood as we complete this project. So that is all that we have. I know it's been a lot of time, and happy to take any questions at this point in time.
I appreciate the presentation. Like I said, that's a lot of information, 3 years. So I don't want to get into too many details because we have other agenda items tonight. But if anyone has any quick questions, commissioners or attendees, this would be the time to ask.
I have a quick question. Thank you for this presentation. It envision everything. This is not really a question, it's more a concern and something to address with DDOT, which is if the exit truck route is going to go across Columbia Road with the bus priority project and the bike lanes. That is a lot of traffic on that road, so it's just something to be aware of, because already with buses, if there's a bus going either direction, then there's not going to be room for trucks. So just something to be aware of.
Right.
Thank
No, you're definitely, thank you for that feedback. And, this is just the plan that we have at this point in time. And this is something that we've sort of taken from DDOT's website, but still discussions will be ongoing.
Anything else?
Yes, hi, and I'm Commissioner Jean Evans, and this is in my SMMD. Can I get, you said your email address since you are directly in my district?
Yes, I will. Here's my email address. I'll put in the chat. And I think I did reach out as well to try to kind of share this with you. And maybe we can talk one-on-one as well,
Yes,
so that I can, kind of go into detail. But I did
certainly.
email you a couple, as well.
Okay,
Well, in addition to that, Dolores, maybe before we start, maybe we invite her to walk the site, we invite Ms. Evans to walk the site so she can walk around the entire perimeter,
right.
see what we have
That would
going on.
be, yes, that would be
Okay.
wonderful.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay then. I'll contact you and we'll make that happen.
So there was one question in the Q&A. I'll ask it a particular way. They're asking basically why doing this project. That can be a long answer. We don't really have time for that. But is there a very brief summary of what the benefits of this updated substation are, and or is there a link to a site that has the information that we could share in lieu of a short answer?
Yes, I can put the website in the chat. But long and short, there's a lot of development and growth taking place in the district, and so we have to ensure that the electrical grid is appropriately sized to handle the growth. So that's why we're doing this project. And so this substation has been in the area since the 1930s, and is definitely in need of upgrade.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Anything else, commissioners? Appreciate you all taking the time tonight. Hope you have a good evening.
Thank you.
Okay,
Too.
thank you so much.
So we have one other presentation tonight from Department of Public Works. I believe Audley Feemster is going to speak about a very common but unfortunately never fully resolved issue of trash. Specifically, public trash cans, questions of how, when, why, etc. They are installed or uninstalled, and general collection of those resources around Adams Morgan. So we hear from DPW, please raise your hand. We'll get you promoted and welcome you to ANC 1C. There you go. How are you all doing tonight? Glad to have you. The floor is yours.
Good afternoon, everyone. Well, good evening, everyone. My name is Randy Thorpe, and I am DPW's Community Relations Specialist. And I just wanted to say thank you for inviting us to your meeting this evening to talk a little bit about litter cans. As Commissioner Wood stated earlier, I have my colleague on with me, Mr. Audley Finster. He is our night litter can operations manager, and he will be giving a presentation this evening and giving you some information about our litter can operation. So I will pass it over to you, Audley.
You're speaking, you got mute on, so maybe a technical issue, Audley.
Audley, you may be on mute.
I always forget if there's a way for Sean to force someone off mute. It might be best if that function doesn't exist, but if it does, we could use it right now. We'll take a look. Okay, no, that's not an option, which for security reasons is probably safest. I guess, oh, there we go. Looks like they got it. All yours, Ollie. It looks like your mute's off, so if you want to start it. can see your mouth moving, but I cannot hear the words come out.
Me neither.
Sometimes it's if you have had headphones or something connected. I know that's often an issue. I'm not sure if that's relevant. Thanks for everyone's patience, just as we figure this out. If it continues to not work, I will maybe do a thumbs up if the answer is yes to this. Do you have a virtual presentation, like a PowerPoint or something that you're hoping to show? Because if not, we could, sometimes it works to sign in on a phone or something if that's an option. And we can discuss with Randy in the meantime while you're switching. Is that doable, Ali? Your hand is up, so I'll take that as a maybe. Well, while we're working that, Randy, can we maybe start with Q&A-ish, kind of just pick your mind a bit while we're waiting for that audio to get connected? Commissioners, you have any questions or comments about trash collection? I know that one commissioner that was very eager to have this conversation was not able to be here, so I'll try to relay some of her thoughts. But does anyone else have anything in the meantime? We had a cleanup recently, so trash is on our minds. Okay, I'll start. Trash line, is there any standard practice that our commission can help, well, commissioners and residents can help with making sure that trash cans are either used and able to be picked up more efficiently, or spotting where places that are good or not good for having those cans placed, just to make sure that process is more smooth?
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. So we're the issue with the question that I get often about increasing the frequency of collection. The thing with that is a lot of times okay, Ollie's calling me. Let me see if I can connect with him real quick, and I'll get back to your question. Give me 1 second.
Take it.
Hey, Audley.
I guess it's been a while since we've had technical issues, so we were due. All right.
Let me try. I'm trying to put him on, let me see, on speaker, so maybe you guys can hear.
We can try that. That's a good idea, hopefully. If there's not too much feedback.
I know. Let's see. All right, can you say something?
No, that doesn't work.
Nope, that's not working. That's not working. Hold on. Yeah. Do you guys have an option that he can maybe call in?
Oh, yeah. Wait. That does exist.
Hello?
Yes, ma'am, I'm here.
Can you hear him?
Let's do that. That works.
Okay, they can hear you.
Appreciate you having us on for transparency. My name is Alden Finch.
Let me mute myself.
Yeah. Well, then we won't be able to hear the microphone picking up his phone if you do that. But it's kind of working, but it's not perfect. That's jumped the gun. That was a good idea though. Maybe like logging in and out. Sorry.
Yeah, Ollie, maybe log out and then try log back into the meeting. Maybe that'll help.
Should we just provide dial-in info, maybe?
That's also an option. Does someone have
and
that?
maybe, yeah,
Well,
dial in info.
you can call in on your phone too. That's also an option.
You want to try and call in?
Yeah, I'm getting the number. If someone beats me to it, that would be great. But I'm gonna grab it. I think it's on our Google Calendar. Will not load for me, of course. No, Sean, you got this? Or do you have the number of it?
Yeah,
Available?
one second.
I got it.
I should remember exactly what it is, but I'm forgetting.
I just sent it via direct message in the chat.
Awesome, thank you. And thank you everyone attending for your patience while we deal with this.
No, I don't see the option, but
he logged back in and he's trying to take himself off of mute, but he doesn't see the option.
Can you call in on your cell phone?
Oh,
With
thanks.
the-
Yeah.
yeah, it's not gonna let me in. I
Okay.
can get in through video, but the audio is not allowed to come on.
Okay. If you look in the chat, the call-in number is Commissioner Palmer put in the call-in number, so you can just call in maybe. If you see it, you see it in the chat. Do you see the web? Do you see the chat option?
Yeah, I see it, but
Can't get into the chat either.
yeah, tell me to type it in again.
Let's see, I'm just gonna give it to you in Teams. I'm gonna just try to give it to you in Teams. Hold on a second.
Yeah,
Or if you buy your email, I can email it to you real quick.
Yeah, I'm at my email.
Okay. Actually, I'm in Teams. Can I put it in Teams for you?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, all right. I just sent it to you in Teams. It's a meeting ID number and a call-in number. Okay, now he has me on hold, so maybe he's trying to call in.
Oh, that's a good sign. That's all right.
I'm so sorry for the
That's all
technical
right. It happens.
difficulties.
I appreciate you for helping and appreciate everyone else for being kindly patient.
Yes, thank everybody for your patience.
And to the people commenting that they want us to jump the agenda, this is public comments, and after we get through public announcements, we have official agenda items. So I'm trying to avoid having to push around the order just for the sake of consistency with Robert's Rules of Orders. But if it comes to that, we can do that. It's just make this kind of voting things a little bit less than ideal.
Peter, can I, while
Go
we're
ahead.
waiting on the technical, can I ask Randy a question?
Yeah, I was just about to do
Yeah.
it.
So, Randy, hi, Marie Lee Steinman, 1CO4. I had a constituent who had a question about trash cans on Calvert Street. So there was a can on the street and it had been there for a couple of years and then it got removed. So could you speak on sort of how trash cans are allocated, say in a ward? And so this constituent went to 311 and requested that a trash can be put there, be put back. And she got a message saying, no, it's already there, when there actually is no can there. And I think that constituent is in this meeting and maybe she'll ask a question, but that seems to be a theme that there have been cans at various places in 1C, like they're in front of HD Cook, that they're there for a while and then they get taken away. So like, how are those determinations made as to what block gets a trash can?
Well, thank you for your question. So normally when cans are removed, it's because they're being abused. In other words, they're being used incorrectly. Household trash is being placed in them. And hopefully, I hope Ollie be able to join so he can speak a little bit more about this. But what happens is the public litter cans are placed around schools, churches, bus stops, and parks. They're not designated for residential areas. However, there are some cans that are placed near residential areas because a bus stop may be right there, or what have you.
Right.
But usually there's an investigation done, and just to see the frequency of what's being dumped in the trash can, and if it's deemed to be being abused, in other words there's household trash being put in the trash can, they will remove the trash can. And Audley's calling me. Let me see if I can answer.
All right. We'll see if
Hey,
this
Audley.
and if it doesn't, maybe we can move on.
He said it's asking him for a meeting password. Would that be the meeting ID?
No, the passcode is at the bottom. It's 198071.
It's 198071.
071.
198071. You got it? Okay. Okay. All right, let's see what we got.
All right, well, that's very helpful, but can a block ever get a second chance? Like if it's removed for abuse, can it ever come back?
Right, and Audley can answer that better than me.
Okay. Because I think that is what my constituents were partly the reason why we wanted you and someone else to come and present. And I also think Commissioner Swanson Palmer near H.T. Cook School, because we both, and the trash can in question, my SMD, is near both a park and a bus stop, but also near some apartment buildings.
Okay. So it looks like Audley, can you hear us?
I'm not sure if this is the phone number or is like computer login, so guess we'll wait a second. If it goes too long, I guess. No, there's a phone number. I think we're very close. Thanks again, everyone, for your patience. I know this is frustrating.
Okay, I see a number.
Well, I'm finally in. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. How are you?
There we go. Well,
I do apologize for the technical difficulties, but I'm here. To answer your questions in regards to litter can collection, as far as the removal or replacement of cans, I can give you limited information regarding that. Our jurisdiction is more so the collection of the 771 cans in your jurisdiction.
so we just had one question about residential blocks getting a second chance. Is that something that you want to ask that again, Commissioner Diamond? Is that sufficient?
So
yes, Ms. Thorpe.
Oh, sorry, I think we're crosstalk. Go ahead, Ollie.
Yes, as Ms. Thorpe articulated, usually a can is removed because of chronic abuse. Individuals placing household debris in the litter can. So we request the investigation for sweep. After thorough investigation, if it's determined that the can continues to endure illegal dumping, they'll remove the can for a year. After that year, the can be replaced back.
Okay, so my neighborhood's on probation for a year. All right, I'll get back to my constituents on that. The can in question is near a park, near a bus stop, and it's also a dog walking route. So now people don't have a place to put their dog poop, which is problematic, but I guess they will figure that out.
Yes, ma'am. A common question that we get is more frequent pickups from every route. and the constituents would like more cans placed out. And we feel as though that is not the. I hear an echo. I do apologize. That's not the solution to the problem. Just in 5 months, in your ward alone, from December 1st, 2024 until 5/2/2025, we collected 585 tons of trash from litter cans in your jurisdiction alone. So just to give you a brief synopsis of tonnage, 1 ton is equivalent to 2,000 pounds of trash. So from December the 1st, 2024 to May the 2nd, 2025, we collected 585 tons from Ward 1 alone, which is equivalent to 1,170,000 pounds of trash from litter cans.
I have a question, if I
Yes,
could.
ma'am.
This is Catherine Swanson Palmer from 1CO9. What would you suggest we tell our constituents when they ask questions about trash cans being gone and how much trash there is, in this area, seemingly because the trash cans are gone? I can't be certain that that is the reason. It does seem like something that's increasing the amount of trash in our neighborhood, which in turn is causing the rat problem to be worse. And so I hear you in terms of we don't want people putting their household trash in these bins. I don't want that either. But I do feel like I'm not sure where to go for an answer to this, a way to solve this problem to keep trash accumulating in the streets and the gutters. And so I'm wondering if you have any thoughts on what the answer
is. I think that educating the general public is very important. Most people don't know what to place in the cans, and they think that it's normal to take the household trash and place it in the cans. I think that we should work together and collaborate in a public information campaign to educate the general public on what the proper usage of a public space litter can is.
Awesome. Are there any resources you all have available for that, or is that something that we can, I don't know.
Yes, ma'am. We have resources. Some things are on our site, dpw.gov. In addition, you can reach out to Ms. Thorpe,
okay,
and we can work together to create something to distribute to the general public, because the overflowing cans is not just an eyesore for the city; it's also a safety issues due to the biohazard things that are in those cans.
Totally.
And they create pests and rodents, things like that, and which spread disease. So our objective is to get out nightly to clean those cans.
Okay. And then I just have one last question. Sorry, everyone.
Yes, ma'am.
If I wanted, so there were 2 trash cans for HG Cook, like Commissioner Diamond noted, and I couldn't remember exactly what date those were taken away. So if I wanted to know how long it had been since the trash can left, I want to know if it's been a year. Where could I find that information?
Well, that information wouldn't be online. We've been attempting to create a database for that information for the ANCs. However, you can reach out to Ms. Thorpe, and we can do some investigations for you all to see how long that can has been removed from that location, so that we can get it replaced. In addition, some cans may have been removed due to the legality of litter can placement. Litter cans are supposed to be placed at bus stops, libraries, businesses, none in residential areas. All residential areas, usually we request for them to be taken up because it is excessive illegal dumping.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions, comments, commissioners? Anyone in attendance? Oh, you have any last comments? Really appreciate you for being here. There's one Q&A.
Yes, I do. I would like to night litter cans. I would like to work with the ANC to get the information out to the general public, because with the the mayor's initiative to increase the population of the District of Columbia, it's very important that we educate our general public, because we're picking up household debris in addition to bulk items next to litter cans. And to help beautify the city, we have to actually work together, because we have a common goal, and that's to make a beautiful DC.
Yeah, and one last comment for me. This is really helpful information, and I think the problem in Ward 1, you mentioned how much trash is collected. It's a really high dense area, and if people are walking around 18th Street or Columbia Road or Calvert, and they're walking to a bus stop and they have a pizza wrapper or something, they're going to throw it in the trash. And if people are walking their dogs and they pick up their dog poop, if there's not a trash can, I live on an alley connected to one of those streets. I find people dump trash in my can, and the city won't pick up trash that's not in a bag. And so any help you could give us in educating, like mailing out a flyer with DPW or something, because it ends up people in nearby areas, their trash cans are overflowing because there's no trash can on the street.
Right. We can work with the ANCs to replace those cans. We're more than willing to work with everyone to get these issues resolved. And any space or place that you want a litter can that is missing legal reason, we can work with you to get those cans placed.
All right, appreciate the question, appreciate the time. Thanks for helping work through the technical difficulties. I appreciate you being here on a week tonight. So this was good, and we can definitely continue the communication beyond this meeting to reduce trash, and especially rats. No one likes rats. So I think that's the thing that unites us all, is getting rid of rats. So hopefully this can all come together. And appreciate your service to the city as well, to both of you. Thanks for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for having me as well. I left my email in the chat if anybody wants to continue this conversation. And as Alderly mentioned, I'm going to work with him to get the number for the containers that will remove for you all.
Perfect. Thank you so much, and have a good night.
Thank you. You guys have a good evening.
All right. Again, thanks for the patience, everyone. I know there are at least 3 or 4 people who expressed interest in moving to public comments and to a later agenda item. So we're moving to public comments. If you're here to talk about a specific agenda item, it's up to you. If you have time constraints, you can mention it now. You might have a bit more time later to deal with the specific item. But if you have general comments, this is the time to raise your hand. We'll get to you in the order that the hands are raised. And we'll begin with Kristen Barton. Welcome, Kristen, who's joining us from hopefully rested post Porch Fest, which was very well attended. I got a lot of feedback from neighbors that said that they were very excited that, well, just for the ambiance of the neighborhood, but as well as for local businesses that seemed to be pretty successful. I imagine you'll affirm what I said, but if not, it's okay. How are you doing?
Fine, thanks. I'm sorry, I was joining as a panelist and I couldn't hear what you said, Peter.
Porch Fest was great. Is that correct?
Yes, it was. Yeah. No, it was a terrific event. Thank you all for everyone's support. Our pedestrian counters counted about 50,000 people in the neighborhood that day. So yes, it was huge. Not our largest crowd necessarily, but it certainly felt like, our largest crowd. But according to the data, it was about 50,000 people. So if any of you have found any of like the Porch Fest H-stake signs around, or some of the cardboard trash cans that didn't get collected on Saturday, please let us know the address of those. Our team was really exhausted at the end of the event, and they may have missed some stuff. Some of them went back on Sunday and Monday again to continue collecting stuff, but if stuff got missed, please let us know, and we'll send somebody around to pick it up. So it's just really hard at the end of the day to to collect everything. So, but yeah, we thought it was a great event. The weather held out. It didn't rain until about 11 o'clock. Yeah. The November Porch Fest will be November 1st, Saturday, November 1st. And again, it will include a street closure. We have tentative approval from the mayor's special events task group to close the street on November 1st. So that'll be the Fall Porch Fest. A couple things coming up in May. On May 15th is Bike to Work Day. We will be hosting a pit stop again, like we do in Unity Park. The hours will be from 7:30 to 9:30 in the morning. And if anyone's interested in volunteering, we could always use some extra set of hands on that early Thursday morning. So we start setting up about 6:30 so that we can welcome people by 7:30. And there are always people there before, we're ready for them. So, but if people register for Bike to Work Day, you can get a free t-shirt that are provided by the Metropolitan Washington Council on Governments. I think they are red this year, if I remember. They just arrived the other day. So yeah, you can pick up a free t-shirt. We'll have bagels and coffee from Trist. WABA is going to be there to talk about bicycle safety issues. The new Upshift workshop is going to be there to do some bike repairs. If you are having trouble with your bike, please bring it. And Upshift workshop, which is there where City Bikes used to be. They can take a look at your bike. Venture X is going to be there. They are going to raffle off some day passes if anyone's interested in looking at working from Venture X or moving your office there. They would be eager to talk to you. So they will be there and they will raffle off 3 day passes. So that's all on the 15th in the morning. And then the following week, starting on the 22nd, we have the Adams Morgan movie nights. And they're all going to be on Thursday nights this year. And the theme is diverse experiences in film, in art and film, or otherwise known as DEIAF. We're only showing 4 movies this time because of the construction that's going to be happening on the soccer field starting in mid-June. West Side Story, the 2021 version, is going to be our first movie on the 22nd. May 29th will be The Birdcage. That'll be our Pride movie, and there'll be a bunch of like fun Pride related stuff. We're going to have some drag queens. We're going to have some boas. We're going to have some funky stuff to pass out. So that'll be a lot of fun. June 5th will be Hairspray. That's the 2007 version. And then June 12th will be Dreamgirls. And that will be in celebration of Juneteenth. So those are the 4 movies for this year's series. You'll start to see some posters and banners and things going up. Now that we're through Porch Fest, we can focus on the next thing, on the next event. So that gets us into early June. In August, we'll be bringing back our Admiral Vibe concert series in Calorama Park. Those also are going to move to Thursdays. We'll be announcing that series soon, but those will be on Thursdays in August. So I think that's all from me. Thanks so much.
Appreciate your time as always. Appreciate your work this week, past weekend, and in general. Have a good night.
Sure thing. All right, take care.
And the next hand up is Sammy Nesbitt. Welcome, Sammy.
Hello, good morning. I don't know if everyone can hear me. Can everyone hear me?
We can, thank you.
Okay, so sorry. No worries. I had a few things I wanted to put in the chat. If possible, could I be elevated to a participant, please?
I mean exactly. I think the chat function or the Q&A function is available to anyone who's attending. If you want to share your screen and have a presentation, don't usually do that for public comments, but we might be able to accommodate depending on what it is.
Gotcha. Just wanted to make sure I had the opportunity to share the flyer and updates for the community, being that we are having a community festival in a little bit less than 60 days. And it does affect one of the parks here in Adams Morgan. So I just wanted to quickly present and talk about the Adams Morgan Fun Run and Community Festival that we'll be hosting at Talrunner Park on June the 28th. This is a new event to the community. We are a emerging nonprofit based in Washington, D.C., particularly in the heart of Adams Morgan. We hope to have community vendors and nonprofit organizations to participate with the festival as well. Currently, right now, we have waived all the registration fees for nonprofit organizations in the area. So we would hope to have our friends who are in the community doing community work have an opportunity to showcase their services to the community. And community vendors, we have reduced the fees, the registration fees for community vendors. With everything going on in the restaurant industry, we want to make sure that everyone has the opportunity to present their culture and their food and give the community an opportunity to really taste what different food looks like in a safe environment, also in a community environment. All of our vendors will be receiving foldable tables and chairs, and also we will, as an organization, we will be hosting what's called a barbecue fest. It's an all-you-can-eat barbecue fest for, I believe it was $30. And it's basically an opportunity for the community to come out, kind of chill, relax on a hot Saturday, and enjoy some good food. We will hope to raise enough money for our community clinic. That is the essential part of why we're hosting this festival. We have a virtual online community clinic called Tribe. This community clinic actually benefits youth between the ages of 16 and 24. It's community therapy and empowerment. It's a model that I wrote a few years ago in collaboration with University of California, San Francisco, and the Center for Disease Control. It's still published on pewhealth.org or hiv.org. But some of the cool things that we have going on that day is we'll be having an adult field day, music, vendors, and of course food trucks. NPD will be present on all four corners to ensure that our runners have a safe place to run that morning. It is I wanted to share the run path as well, but I don't have access to upload anything in the chat box. But we do have some giveaways that we're going to be giving away to folks as well. You can easily sign up on bethemomentum.org. You can just go to the ADMO Fun Run and Cultural Festival on the top left-hand corner. And when you do sign up for a free goodie bag, we're going to be giving away things like first aid kits, meal kits, things that really help people empower themselves and understand, what food can really become, especially healthier options such as healthier seasonings, healthier flavors, healthier sauces. And also, we hope to really grow the community as well by hosting community interns to kind of help bridge the gap between our organization and the community at large. Any excess food that we do have from this event will be given away every Tuesday, as we customarily do. We have a program called the Tuesday Meals Program, and where our interns and our volunteers go out into the community and give away meals around 5, 6, or 7 o'clock on Tuesday. It is a part of our mission, and I hope and pray the opportunity to grow into the community continues as we maintain the momentum. I believe our executive director, fellow Dr. Jade Wiles, is on the call as well. I don't know if he has raised his hand or if he had the opportunity to add anything to the chat box. But if you would like to email me directly, my email is snesbitt@bethemomentum.org, and I will be glad to answer any questions for the community. Thank you so much for the opportunity to just speak, just to have a moment in time. The time is something that we can't get back, and I appreciate each and every one of you for your time that you dedicate to our community. I thank you so much, and I look forward to speaking with you guys soon.
Hey, thanks so much. Just one comment. You're looking for publicity. I imagine you've gone through DPR and DDOT for the permitting needed for this, but I think DPR might be able to help if you're having it and they approved it in the DPR facility, which would be the park. Maybe they'd be able to put it on a calendar or something too. So worth looking into that.
We actually have the park permit already paid for, and we already have MPD in collaboration in there where of this event as well. We have been planning this event pretty much since last year. We tried to get a few streets closed off. We saw that that wasn't feasible based on the geography of the neighborhood. But we did plan for Calorama Park to take over the entire park. And we do have a reservation in place with UDPR to make sure that the park is reserved for our organization on that day.
Glad to hear it. Well, thanks again for being here. I know you do a lot of hard work and looking forward to the event. Have a good night. All right, looks like Nicole from Councilmember Nadeau's office is next. Thank you, Nicole. Welcome. How are you doing?
Hi, folks. Thanks for giving me a minute here to share some updates from the council. My name is Nicole. I'm Councilmember Nadeau's Chief of Staff, and a few things from us. Our next office hours in the ward, where anyone can come speak with the council member one-on-one about anything you'd like. That could be a policy issue, it could be constituent services, anything at all, are going to be on May 21st from 6 to 8 p.m. at Right Proper Brewing. That's at 624 T Street Northwest. Big thing we're getting a lot of questions about is, of course, the budget. We passed a resolution last week requiring the mayor to submit her budget to the council by May 15th. And so we are hoping we stick to that timeline. We, of course, as many of us have been following, have significant challenges because of Congress's CR that forced us to cut our budget. And the FY26 budget, even without that cut, is going to be challenging. Revenue projections are down. And so the RFK deal would also be in this budget. So we'll have to vote on that. So a lot going on. Please pay attention to the council website and, anywhere you get your council news, whether it be newsletters or all the council members' social medias, we'll all be pushing out info on budget hearings as soon as we have the schedule. And we're really encouraging folks to come out and testify about what's important to you and what we should be focusing on in this budget. So keep an eye out for that and please come out and testify. Two quick things I want to mention on legislation. Councilmember Nadeau introduced legislation in mid-April to remove a requirement for 2 staircases in multifamily buildings with less than 6 floors. The goal is to increase, I'm seeing some clapping, thank you. The goal is to increase the amount of space that can be built for residents, making it more economical and easier for builders to create more units or bigger units, which are good for families, and also help reduce the cost for renters. Studies have shown that in the 21st century, with vast improvements in fire suppressant practices and materials, single staircases are just as safe as dual staircases. And these regulations would apply to new buildings, not already existing buildings. And also important, this makes no changes to requirements for elevators. Any new building that would be required to have an elevator currently would still be required to. And then one more piece of legislation, Councilmember Nadeau filed legislation on April 10th to make common sense improvements to TOPA. That's the Tenant Opportunity to Purchase Act. TOPA has been a bedrock component of tenant rights in the district since 1980, and its future is at risk with recent efforts to carve out exemptions from TOPA requirements. Councilmember Nadeau believes that we can balance the needs of housing investors and tenants with updates to the law that kind of meet the current moment. The Common Sense TOPA Reform Amendment Act of 2025 would expedite transaction timelines, create consequences for bad actors who slow down the process or mislead tenants, and give tenants earlier access to information about their rights and their options, and connect them to tenant support organizations. In short, it just streamlines things, which is good for owners, investors, and residents. The bill's been referred to the Housing Committee, and Chairman Robert White has committed to holding the hearing in May. So you can learn more about that on our website if you're interested and want to come out and testify. And then last really quick thing, lots of questions about the RFK deal that was announced by the mayor. Councilmember Nadeau is not supportive of this very large public investment in the stadium, especially that one that will sit dark most of the time. That's money we could be investing in schools, libraries, housing, parks, and a lot more across the district or right there in Ward 7. There's a big long post on our website if you're interested in a more in-depth view on her position on this. So would direct folks there for more info, but feel free if you have thoughts to contact our office. And I'll stop there. And if anyone has questions, I'm happy to answer them.
Thank you for all that. Thank you for being here tonight. Commissioners, any questions, comments? Thanks
Is
again.
there support that you need from the commission on either the single staircase thing or the stadium thing? I think, I mean, both of these are, I don't know, heard some, no one else has talked to me about the stair thing, but I just think it's so important. So if there's, you know, some way that we can be helpful on either of those, I'm curious to hear it. Maybe send me an email if you can.
Yeah, happy to chat about it.
Yeah, thank you.
And I'll put my contact info in the Q&A for any residents who want to get in touch as well.
That'd be great. Thank you again.
Thanks, everybody.
Good night. Looks like we have one more hand up for general comments. I believe it's Jade. Welcome. The floor is all yours.
Yes, good evening, everyone. Thank you. My name is Dr. Jay Walsh Jr. I have the honor to serve as Executive Director Fellow for Momentum Health. I just need to, I will drop my email in the chat. Can I be able to do so, enabled to do so?
I think so. And if it's sent just to the panelist, we'll send it again so everyone can see it.
Yes, it says chat disabled, but nonetheless, it is JWILES at bethemomentum.org. If anybody on this call has any questions or concerns about our upcoming Atmo Festival and Fun Run event on June 28th, please feel free to send me an email. And thank you all for your time.
Thanks for being here. Thanks for your patience. Glad you got to speak.
Thank you. You too.
Okay, so now we'll move to the rest of our agenda, starting consent agenda. If anyone has any issues, this would be the time to speak. I'll just say, I made one very small set of changes based on instruction I received before this commission assembled. The word motion, we were told not to use the word motion as a verb, just as a noun. So I changed it to move instead of motioned. It's very subtle, but I remember having a meeting where that point was brought up, so I have committed it to memory since. But I made no substantive changes. Any problems with the consent agenda? All right, because that consent agenda passes, we got those minutes out, which is helpful for getting allotments because apparently OANC is being finicky again sometimes about how quickly we turn around with that sometimes completely infeasible timeline. Regular agenda, there's no items that came from the Alcoholic Beverage Control and Public Safety Committee with support. We do have some later that are related to that committee, but they didn't come from the committee. I'll explain it later. We have one item that was postponed from last month. I know that at least 7 or 8 people have emailed us about this. I don't know if there's any, I don't think many people came and spoke last month, even though it was on the agenda. But I know that some people have strong opinions about what I don't think is a live project. I think it's just discontent with the state of affairs, but free to do so. To a disclaimer, we last month had discussed the possibility of having someone from DDOT join this meeting tonight to basically just answer questions about why things were put in the ways they were at the corner of Biltmore and 19th. They responded to me and said that they're going to get back if they could get someone to attend. If someone from DDOT's here, raise their hand. But they never confirmed anyone would be able to attend, and said that in the event that no one could come, that we could send a list of questions in email. That would be a good starting point. I think one of the people that was our liaison is now on paternity leave, if I'm not mistaken. So that's just unfortunate timing. So the person who the auto email says to email hasn't responded in the last couple of weeks. I think we can have. So hopefully that'll change. In any case, if you're here to speak about that, we can note down your concerns if they weren't already sent in an email. And we can aggregate that and send that, and hopefully at some point in time get some clarity and maybe even raise those on another month's call or something. Commissioner Diamond, I know you've been involved with this. You want to add any context or anything?
Yeah, so as I see it, there's 3 major concerns. There's loss of parking spaces. And so a question I have for our liaison is, was a traffic study done and what was the result of the study? And I know there are regulations about no parking within certain number of feet of a crosswalk. So just having some clarity, because it looks like on some of the streets, parking was taken away on a T intersection where it's one way to one way, and there actually isn't a vision problem. So getting some clarity on that. The second thing is the curb extensions around the Biltmore Triangle Garden, which there was a meeting in November that I was not at, where some feedback was given that the current iteration is not permanent. And so the reason why there is a community outpouring now is because there is the possibility that there is going to be something permanent put there. And there's concern that community input should be given before something permanent is put in place. And then the third, and that's with the pylons and the stanchions, that if they're going to be for traffic reasons around the garden, perhaps there could be something more aesthetic and the garden could actually be extended so that there's dirt instead of concrete. And then the third thing is the mural, which in other neighborhoods, when there's a arts in the right of way mural, the community gives input and the community like picks the artist, and that somehow didn't happen. So I think there are some people that would like to speak and sort of, because they did not get the opportunity in the fall.
That's helpful. I imagine the answer is no, because I was also, I think, unaware, and I definitely didn't attend the November meeting you mentioned. But do you know what would be more permanent? I got, in my mind, nothing is truly permanent because the world is burning. But all joking aside, I mean, I've never seen like concrete posts. I would love to have more of those around the city because it would save lives. But do you know, just
No, more like
what a more
what
permanent
is
type
in
of
the
solution
protected
for
bus
that type
lane?
of thing would be, or is it just kind of like that general idea of perhaps reassessing the situation or the intersection?
Well, one of my questions is, what are our options at this point for changes to the design? Because it appeared last fall that there was still time to get changes to the design.
And when you say the design, you mean, because I know there's people that didn't like the colors of the art, and there's people that don't like the look of flex posts, and there's people who thought that there was parking removed and want more parking. I will know, I would think if I'm remembering correctly, in like 2021 or 2022, some of that space was just painted, but it wasn't removing parking. It was just making it clear that the parking that wasn't there was demarcated because it's next to a stop sign and a crosswalk. So that might be part of it. Do you know which specific design you're referring to?
Well, both the murals, the colors of the murals, and also where the stanchions are placed. But also, I think that there are people in this meeting that can explain what they mean by the bad design. I can speak for constituents, but I'd rather hear from the people themselves. That makes sense.
And there was a mention of no public input. I just found an old email, well, old being September, from Councilmember Nadeau who's brought into this, and I think I'll just read it. It says, the short version is that this is a safety enhancement utilizing art. I'm not aware of a public input process for it. That said, I think that one of the DDOT liaison, DDOT rep that was kind of involved with this expressed interest in involving the public. So it seems like it could be something that would be done. And I think the artist wanted to make sure that the public was happy with too. So hopefully we find a way forward. I'm going to make a motion just to open up for discussion if there's a second. I would move that we postpone this another month to send an email and see if we needed anything further. Can I get a second to discuss that? If there's a second, okay, Commissioner, thank you. So there's some hands up. Let's hear what people in the general vicinity. I know there's several homeowners nearby that have been very vocal on this. So we're glad to hear you. It looks like Ben has your hand up first. Welcome.
Hello, can you hear me?
You're good.
Great, thank you. I'm at 1963 Biltmore, and I wanted to say first, thank you, Marie-Elise, for bringing this to the attention of the commission. The installation of the reflective sticks and the mural together was done without any community input that I'm aware of. and it has severely impacted our ability to park or even just stop and unload anything. The sticks are just kind of everywhere, scattered about the neighborhood, and it seems like our street was particularly victimized, so to speak, by these sticks compared to other parts of the city. And I would just really appreciate more community input in these types of things that really directly affect quality of life in the neighborhood. And with the pedestrian safety aspect, the way that the sticks have been in place, it doesn't quite work. It's not really connected to the crosswalk in a reasonable way. So pedestrian safety is paramount, and I think there should be that kind of appropriate space for pedestrians. But the way this has been set up does not achieve that goal. So I really thank you for your time, and I hope we can get a few parking spaces back, some loading zones, something, because it's just a real pain in the butt, especially for even delivery drivers. They have to block the entire street just to get something done, and it's a pain. But thank you for your time.
Yeah, and thank you for your comments. As someone who lives on a narrow street, I definitely can relate to the stresses of having delivery trucks block stuff. Looks like next
Yeah, and
hand
I'm
up.
also wondering if yeah, I was just gonna say, I'm wondering if speed bumps, like if speed bumps would be a better way to slow down traffic than the stanchions, but more community input. I'll stop talking.
I personally like speed bumps. I'm not, I mean, this would also be helpful to get DDOT to clarify what is and isn't doable, what was the rationale, but I thought that the things were for parking, not for speeding. Anyway, next hand up, Malaya Rose, welcome. Thank you for your patience. I know a lot of you have waited a long time to speak.
Hey there, my name is actually Alex Rose. Malia is my wife. Yeah, she's sleeping, but I appreciate the opportunity to join you. I've sent a few emails to some of you. Last November, I sent an email encouraging you guys to consider this resolution after these murals were painted. Well, let me take a step back. I live at 20th and Biltmore. I'm an active gardener in that Biltmore Triangle Garden. The previous person who spoke, who I don't know, but apparently he lives just a few houses away from me. I agree with him 100%. None of us were consulted or had any awareness. Just one day, a few people were out there painting on the ground. I've almost been hit by a car, like in this area. I am an active pedestrian. I care about all of our safety. And I am not convinced, and I'm out walking with my son on these streets every single day. I'm not convinced that this is increasing safety. But if DDOT has studies proving that, I support their efforts. But recognizing that none of us were consulted, and that there are very strong feelings, and there's beautiful historical architecture in this area, and a lot of just important features that the garden provides. I think what I'm looking to all of you as our ANC is to put much more pressure on DDOT to ensure that all of you can speak for our voices, consult with us as residents. We cannot turn the clock back. I certainly want parking spaces back. I certainly don't want that paint on the ground. I want those flex posts not to be here. I don't know if we can change any of that, but in my interactions with Kim Vaca, who might be the representative that's not here from DDOT, my understanding from her is they refer to this as temporary. What permanent means is they will put concrete down or much more permanent measures to increase safety, the way that these flex posts are intended to do kind of in the short term. What she said is there's a number of areas around the district where they have these flex posts, and some of them are being prioritized for what they call permanent work. If that's going to be occurring here, I would like the ANC to make sure that anything that gets done is going to involve the input of all of the people that live in this area. And hopefully, they can present a few different options, and we can all feel really excited about whatever work that they're going to do in an effort to increase safety for all of us.
Appreciate you taking the time for those thoughts. Yeah, and we'll definitely, having this agenda item tonight and last month and our interactions with DDOT is hopefully, like I said, going to get the information that would be helpful for kind of better assessing the rationale behind this. Also, I'm just curious if there is something more permanent, because usually in my experience, the plastic flex post is the permanent fix or the permanent solution. No, neither of those words. The permanent idea to try to solve things, and then someone runs it over in their car, and it hasn't happened at this corner, so as far as I know, but we'll see. Looks like there's one other hand up. I won't read the name anymore because I think sometimes they're the wrong name, but we'll hear from whoever has got their hand up now.
Hello, I'm Richard Fitz. I live at 1971 Biltmore, and thanks very much for holding this meeting and allowing us to speak our minds to you all. I agree again with Ben and with the other speaker 100%. My concern is not so much with the paint. The paint will disappear. It's not so much really with the question of painted areas or whether they're permanent or not. I just know from looking at it, being out on the street a lot in the last month or two, that the positioning of the stop sign at the garden area is reducing the safety of kids and others crossing the crosswalk. It's about 15 to 20 feet from the crosswalk. So I watch cars pull up, stop at the stop sign on Biltmore, and then accelerate right across the, 10 to 15 feet across the crosswalk. And there have been a number of cases that I've witnessed where it's actually very dangerous. That was never the case before. So if the parking sign could be moved from 20 feet away up to the crosswalk, like parking signs normally are, then cars coming up Biltmore, taking the right turn off of 20th onto Biltmore, would stop up there. That's just not happening. And in terms of these painted areas, if it's permanent, I'm not a fan of these white sticks coming up out of the ground. There's 71 of them, by the way, now. It's really a forest of white sticks, and it's unattractive. It's inappropriate for our street. And if they put something permanent down, if they put a concrete curb down because it's required for safety purposes, I'm not against that. But I'd like them to do it in some sensible way. Maybe, put a grassy area out there or plants or park benches or something that will enhance the community, make it more comfortable to us, not maintain the ugliness in a permanent way that's out there now. So I have my view written up. I'll send it to you as an email. The details on where things are and why they're not effective, why they're actually reducing the safety of the crosswalk on our street. Thank you.
Appreciate your thoughts. I'm looking forward to seeing your email. It looks like a couple other hands also came up, so we'll get to those. First, I think is a new voice, and the second is a repeat. Welcome.
Hey there. I don't know if you can hear me. This is Kara Aftuck. We live right at the intersection of Biltmore and 19th. So we see all of this and the cars rolling and not stopping, and just the sheer idiocy that is that, that little spot right before the crosswalk. Not only that, I've mentioned this as well in my note, but the amount of drivers coming up, or I guess downhill, down 19th to try and take a left on one-way Biltmore is astounding. The amount of times that we scream, it's one way when we've got kids in the crosswalk is, just absolutely crazy to me. So I think that the signage that is there needs to be, I don't know, highlighted in like some sort of a reflective tape or something needs to be done. It is completely unsafe. And I completely agree with the previous speaker who had mentioned the positioning of the stop sign by the garden. Not only is it way too far from the crosswalk, but then you've got, this crazy, art, if you can call it that, that's completely distracting. And people are like, you've got all these, whatever the stanchions are called, the, white things. And the whole thing is just an absolute chaotic situation when it doesn't need to be that way. I completely agree with the previous sentiments about parking. Parking is, increasingly difficult in this neighborhood. I don't need to tell anybody on this call that, but that continues to be a problem. But just the fact that no constituents were asked about any input on that art project or whatever. It completely astounds me. This is a historic district. It's completely incongruous with the architecture. You know, I think that there's a time and a place for it, but it's not right on those streets where it's already a completely unsafe intersection or traffic stop.
I appreciate those. It's definitely, I mean, not the first person to mention those things one way, but I see it personally myself. Walking down that curve, there's not like a good way on the south side to go, and people do drive the wrong way. So that's, yeah, hopefully, I mean, like I said a few times, hopefully we can get a DDOT person to be, especially on one of these meetings, so we can get some more answers and kind of put some pressure on some of these questions. Looks like Alex's hand is back up.
Yeah, I apologize. I didn't get to finish speaking, Peter. So I guess what I wanted to ask all of you is, I think it's important that we get someone from DDOT to speak to you. What DDOT communicated to me and why I initially reached out and asked you guys to make a resolution is they said that the ANC making a resolution is going to get them to pay attention to this issue. So you know, is there any reason why you shouldn't pass the resolution that you already have written? Yeah, that very well may get someone higher up to show up to a meeting when someone's on paternity leave and they're blowing off our ANC on this important issue.
Yeah, thanks for that. I mean, we did discuss this last month, and I did a lot of talking, so I guess I can partially respond if anyone else wants to jump in as well. I mean, I think we kind of concluded that there are just a lot of unanswered questions about the factual claims of what this project was, one, motivated by, and then two, kind of like Department of Transportation, just like infrastructure rules, especially like federal highway type rules, sometimes will get applied, or at least municipal, to like what is and what is not possible in terms of infrastructure adjustments. So it's like helpful to know what is the situation, why, and what is possible going forward before saying, hey, do these things, because sometimes those things are not even an option and it's a bit futile to.
Yeah, that's very fair.
So I think that was kind of the conclusion. Ideally, we wouldn't continue to delay it, but at least in my mind, of course, we're commissioned, so we make decisions collectively, but having that information would be helpful to be able to make a resolution that is actually pointed to a degree that has the potential to be effective. So, I mean, that's why I made the motion tonight to have us unfortunately wait another month and try to get that month to be the month where DDOT, and we'll send an email with the questions kind of summarizing the comments tonight, as well as those that came through an email. And hopefully in the meantime, that means something will get moving. But if it comes to it, we can have another discussion next month's meeting in the event that we vote tonight to delay this.
Yeah, well, and I'll just plant the seed to say, you know, if you want to wait another month, go for it. But if they blow you off in a month from now, maybe change the resolution to simply say, you know, the ANC resolves that we expect DDOT to consult and get our input before you do any future work in this area. You know, they verbally told me and other residents, you know, that they're planning to do it, and that the ANC having a resolution will get them to listen. So, you know, maybe we shouldn't be surprised if their attitude of not having a resolution is why they're not showing up.
And depending on the scope of the work, they have a legal obligation to send out a notice of intent. So there would be a legally obligatory period of public comment period, which the ANC would know about and then tell people. So I don't, like I said earlier, I don't.
Yeah, no, and no criticism, but I mean, they did that last time and they did the work. So you know, now this is way on your radar more than it was last time. And I certainly, you know, with no disrespect, appreciate all you do, and sure hope that they'll work with you in the community if they do work and follow the law.
Likewise, and appreciate you for taking the time and us late on a weeknight. So I really do appreciate you being here tonight. All right, commissioners, we have a motion on the floor to delay another month. Any last questions, comments, concerns, contradictions? I want to, yeah, this is an important issue to some people, so I don't want to be dismissive of it, but also we have other issues on the agenda and it's late, so I want to make sure that we kind of balance those things.
I'll ask a clarifying question for folks who have had more time to interact with DDOT. Is this like super unusual that someone will miss this sort of meeting? I don't know. I want to speak to the broader concern that like, is waiting a month just sort of like a normal, much time it takes to get talking to city government, or is this extraordinary and deserves a little bit of censure from us toward the city?
We got one commissioner who's a city employee. We got another who's the chair of the committee on this. Either of you want to address that? If not, I can.
I mean, I have a follow-up to that, which is, maybe I'm misunderstanding. Do they really miss it? Were we just not able to get in touch with them? Because I feel unclear on if we actually have been able to talk to them at all via email about this. I know we've emailed with them a little bit about the issue, but about the meeting, I feel like they didn't even get back to us. I don't know if like missing is really, I guess what I'm trying to say is, I feel like maybe we just need to, if it's like making a phone call or emailing a couple more times, like we need to get someone at the meeting. And I don't know if we just needed to follow up more. But I wouldn't say it's normal, Commissioner Olsen. I think it's unacceptable to not be able to get somebody in touch with us about this. It should only take one email. But I also want to convey to everybody else who's on the meeting that like we will follow up as much as we need to get somebody here next month, because we don't want to delay, figuring this out any further.
And because I was doing some of the communication, like there's one person who, like I said, was the name on an email saying contact this person while I'm on paternity leave, which was just unfortunate timing. Don't know why they haven't responded to me. I've communicated with them on other issues in the past, so that has been helpful. And other issues with other people at DDOT, they have been very responsive, so when it's possible. So maybe it's just kind of a coincidental thing, but in any case, hopefully it can get speedier responses in the next few weeks so that we can kind of get this moving along. Any last comments, questions? Commissioner, go ahead.
Yeah, I guess I'd be in favor of passing what we have now, just because it will push them to come to our meeting and speak to us. I don't see a harm, but if there's a majority in favor of waiting 1 month, then I think we can get them here.
All right, well, we'll see how the vote goes. I'll for a vote to delay 1 month or to postpone this for an additional month to our June meeting. All those in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed?
No.
Right, what am I voting on? I think we should pass the resolution, because even if there's things in it that DDOT can't do, then they just won't do them.
During a vote is not when we have a conversation on the piece. So just to clarify the vote, to postpone this agenda item until our June meeting, which we did the same exact thing we did last month, and trying to get a DDOT person to respond to this list of emails that we decided we were going to send in the meantime. So,
is this instead of making a motion to pass the resolution?
this would be the motion that's on the floor. If anyone wants
to.
We can make a separate motion after this if we want to.
Okay.
Or to fail, we can make a second motion, basically, yeah.
Yeah.
Let's do it. Go back. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please say nay.
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 Any opposed? It looks like passes 4-2. So we'll do that. In the meantime, we can definitely work. And I know that there's been a lot of time put into resolutions, so hopefully we can get that into the right hands to make it. I mean, ideally, we won't even need to do a resolution. They'll just fix things and make things that everybody happy. Realistically speaking, we can, in the meantime, try to push in multiple directions. Okay, next agenda item. Any last thoughts?
Well, can I make a motion to pass the resolution?
I think next month because
okay, all right.
Because the vote for this month already passed. So I mean, and like I said, we can continue to shape it to make sure it's effective. Sorry, I'm just looking at this agenda, making sure I'm on the right track. Supported by the switching committees now, Public Service and Environment Committee. Resolution was supported by the committee requesting transfer of jurisdiction of Caroline Llorente Memorial Park. I can introduce this briefly, I guess, or do you want to, Commissioner Michaelson Horowitz?
No, go ahead.
So yeah, it's a very, very small park that is adjacent to us, also a small park, which is adjacent to Colorado Park. Some people, I guess, call it Slurpee Park. It's the triangle right in front of 7-Eleven at the intersection of Columbia 19th and Wyoming. There is some interest in neighbors that live adjacent to this park, which is named after a former activist who lived a long time in Adams Morgan, Caroline Llorente. Basically, it's under, as far as we're told, sometimes it's hard to know who is accurate with these claims, but as far as we've been told, it's considered DDOT jurisdiction. I'm guessing because there was previously a bus stop right there, but the bus stop is no longer there, and there's some neighbors who have been kind of out of the generosity of their hearts caring for it and trying to make it look nice. And it's easier to have neighborhood parks groups or friends of a park have kind of status and partnership with the Department of Parks and Recreation if it's officially under DPR's jurisdiction, which is not. So this was a resolution I drafted with some discussion with the neighbors that I mentioned and stakeholders, basically trying to get, and also I just spoke with someone at DPR, and he said this is something we could do and it makes sense to try. So this is basically to try to get them to switch that. I have no idea how likely that is, but to try to get it so that the jurisdiction is under DPR so that neighbors have a slightly easier time of making it look nice. There's still issues where you need water to water plants, and probably not going to get the city government to spend money on what is a kind of an expensive water spigot that's needed. So looking for alternative solutions to basically find a neighboring business or neighbor or something to donate water access. That's maybe a separate
7-Eleven.
conversation, but it's still kind of relevant to the matter at hand. Sorry, Commissioner, what did you say?
The 7-Eleven across the street is probably the best candidate there.
What I thought as well. Just haven't got full engagement, which isn't for lack of, it's just for lack of haven't tried yet. But yeah, I've discussed that with the neighbors as well. So any questions, comments about this agenda item, commissioners? All right. Anyone in attendance have questions, comments on this? I'll move that, and it doesn't need a second because it's supported by the committee. I'll move that we pass this resolution, send it to, I think I put like 3 agencies, or no, 2 for this one, just to make sure it gets to the right agency's hands. But move that we pass this resolution, send it to DPR and DDOT to try to get this park a little bit more TLC. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Any abstentions? The motion passes 6-0. Moving on, the next agenda item is a very long list. Is that right? Yeah, a very long list of restaurants in Adams Morgan. Usually this goes on our ABC agendas, but and I think I might have done this right, or at least it's not wrong to put this on. Basically, if anyone in the community has issues with an establishment and they feel it's worth considering the entering the process of maybe either protesting, which is the term of art for kind of trying to interfere with or obstruct with a liquor license renewal or a new license, but these are renewals, or at least engaging with the business owners to try to resolve some problems related to their operations. This is just kind of a call and an opportunity from the community to be able to do that. It rarely does happen, but put them on this general meetings list instead of the committee list, just because of the timing of when the renewal period is done, which would kind of not align with our meeting schedule. So instead of having to wait an extra month to go through committee, just put it on tonight. There was one business I mentioned earlier tonight, is that on this list? Actually, I should double check. Lapis, which is on Columbia Road in 1C03. It was point of discussion for a little bit at the town hall that we had at VentureX recently. I did email the owner, been meaning to have a conversation. I just was at a work conference all week and had 16-hour days. So I haven't done it, but they had a really nice response and basically said, yeah, we actually are aware of this and we share this trash in the back with the trash issues. There's a lot of trash and it's overflowing and some of the neighbors are really upset and have been for a long time at Lapis. And Lapis is in a building that has several other businesses on the ground floor as well as lots of residents above in 1841 Columbia. According to the owner of Lapis, they share the trash with other businesses and it's not managed by them, it's managed by the property management, which the property management company have had many residents upstairs come to me saying that they're very frustrated, and other buildings I've talked to people that have had similar issues, and at least one other commission has passed a resolution very interestingly asking for them to not be able to operate in the District of Columbia because some of their alleged violations have been so upsetting to residents there. So I'm aware of that. Lapis owners seem to be really responsive, so I don't really want to move forward with anything formal in this meeting, but wanted to at least be transparent that I communicated to them, and they were really, if everything that they said is correct, they're being proactive and trying to address the same issue that they want resolved. Just requires cooperation through a lot of entities, including some neighboring businesses. I'll stop there. Anyone, commissioners or attendees, have any comments to raise on any of these businesses that are on this tonight's agenda? If not, we can move forward, which we will do. So lastly, we have a couple of other, there's an application for Historic Preservation Review Board regarding 1610 Columbia Road. If you're here to discuss this, I really appreciate your patience. It's been a couple of hours. Welcome, Adam. How are you doing?
Hello there. Can everyone hear me?
You can. Glad to see it. How are you
All right.
doing?
And Jim or James Foster should also be here. Can you elevate him as well?
All right, we'll get him up. Jim Foster. There you go.
There he is. Okay.
So don't
So
want
I'll
to
get
take
this
too long.
started.
Give us a lay down. What type of support are you requesting? Give us the scope of your project.
Sure. Can I do a screen share here to show everything?
You should be able to.
So introduction, my name's Adam Crane of Two Plies Architects. We're here today talking about 1610 Columbia Road Northwest. This is an application for historic review. We're going into its second submission. The original submission was for concept review with HPRB and was proposing either a 9 or a 6 level addition to the church here. It was the 6 level one is what the board was in favor of. So we're now going back with the more defined massing and materials in hopes of getting approval on this. So I'll give you a bit of a project overview, and then I'll turn it over to Jim Foster, who will dive into some of the details. I'm not sure if you guys this was presented to you by the previous firm that was working on this late last year, but some existing photos of very, very prominent corner here on 16th and Columbia. This vacant lot here on the left side is where the addition's proposed. On the bottom left-hand side, you can see kind of a clear view of what's going on there. Just for comparison, sorry, my Zoom is sometimes slow to load on PDF, so I'll give this a minute. You'll see the church there on the corner. The bottom part of the slide is where that existing parking lot is. On my screen, this PDF appears paused. Is this visible to you guys?
Yeah, we can see it.
Okay.
32 multifamily building is the current slide.
Okay. Enable. Sorry, let me stop share here. Okay. Let me try and open this with another application. Sometimes my Bluebeam application tends to pause when I'm doing Zoom. One more time. Sorry about that. Is that visible to everyone?
It is.
Okay. This is showing kind of our more defined 6-level massing that we plan to go to the board with. I'll pull up some of these images with our proposed material palette. And Jim, if you want to start diving into these as this loads up, you're welcome to. Well, is Jim Foster still there? I don't see him on the list, but
maybe he's here. Doesn't mean he's at his microphone. That's all.
Oh, there he is.
Yeah.
Jim, is your microphone working?
It's either not working or not active.
Yeah. Well, I can start talking about it while Jim's getting set up. Basically what we're going back with is a brick clad lower 4 levels and then more of a setback glazed and lighter in appearance upper 3 levels.
Recorded.
Oh, Jim, there you are. Okay.
Sorry, my internet connection dropped, so apologies.
Sure. If you want to dive into the materials and the massing changes.
Yeah, so I lost you for a couple minutes there, so apologies. Let me catch up. So we wanted to make the building, I think the original, I don't know if you guys remember the original presentation you saw, but I think the entrance was on the front. And so we've talked to HPRB staff, Steve Calcott, and have talked about moving the entrance to the center of the building, basically in the walkway that's created between the original church and the addition. And then we have treated the building as a more solid mass with what we call punched windows or more standard windows openings. And then on the lower 4 floors and then on the upper 2 floors of the building, treat it more as a glassy, reflective uh, uh, part that will hopefully look lighter and airier, if you will. The dark gray brick is basically aligned with the face of the Masonic Temple. And then the projecting bay that's in the middle essentially sort of lines up with the front of the original church to the right, Latter-day Saints Church corner. So you can kind of see a little bit, incorporates some greenery instead of random or whatever thing. It will be integral to the architecture. The original building proposal that you saw was 7 to 9 stories, I guess it was, and we agreed, or the discussion was to limit it to 6 stories. But the original proposal, the first floor was 14 feet, and I think part of that was that the original program was to include a lobby level, which would have been higher on the ground floor of the building. Since we're placing, I think, the lobby, and there might be a drawing at some point in this renderings, that in the connector that connects this addition to the original church, we lowered the building down to the first floor of the building down to 10 feet, matching all the other floors, but kept the parapet at the same height. So this building is no taller. Our proposed rendering here and the building we're proposing is no taller than the 68 feet. I think it is 68 feet that we presented. However, we're proposing a setback penthouse at the very top that that will only project about 3, maybe 4 feet above the parapet level, and to have a occupiable roof deck and a penthouse level on top of the building. But it most likely won't be visible. It certainly won't be visible from the street anywhere around the building. It might be visible further up 16th Street, a couple blocks away, probably certainly not visible from the south, and I don't think visible from Columbia Road. That most of the massing of the original church building will block almost all of that. But again, we're introducing probably a dark gray charcoal colored brick at the massing at the bottom. And the reason for that was to contrast with the marble and limestone finishes on the adjoining buildings on either side. Then on the upper levels, it would be more of a glassy kind of reflective treatment. It's overly specific, but the masonry we'll be using most likely will be it'll be traditional brick, Belden brick, but it'll be an oversized brick so that the scale of it will be a little larger to hopefully blend it more effectively and work in conjunction with the massing of the scale of the stone on the adjoining buildings. This rendering that Adam pulled up shows that we're required to have this connected to the original church, of course. And so instead of just having it be a connector, we're going to make that the lobby of the building. And I think you can see here the greenery that we're introducing, and at every level where the building steps back and reduces scale as it gets taller, will introduce some green elements into the facade that are incorporated into the architecture. And I think that's kind of it, unless you have any questions. We've been out here a long time, so I don't want to take too much of your time. But I hope this, I didn't attend the last meeting, obviously, ANC, but hopefully this addresses some of the concerns you had in terms of the height and lowered the building by 2 stories, but also makes it a little bit more contextual with the buildings on either side.
Yeah, appreciate all that, and of course appreciate waiting 2 hours to present. So, commissioners, you got any questions, comments? Anyone in attendance have any questions or comments? So just to clarify, you're looking for support. I think this is the type of support that's relatively common or commonly requested. Just support because it's in a historic preservation district, to have the ANC support the plans as they're congruent with what we see as the neighborhood needs. Is that correct?
Correct.
All right, so I'll move. It did not come from a committee, so it needs, just because of timing, I think, it needs a second. I'll move that we submit that support. Can I get a second?
Second.
All those in favor, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Passes 6-0. Appreciate you being here. I'll get that sent out as soon as possible. It might be a few days. This is my big conference week for work, and I have to send it out, so I'll do it as quickly as I can.
Thank you very much.
Thank you all for your time.
Have a good night. Another proposed resolution. I think we can get through this relatively quickly, but we'll see. Commissioner Evans, I think we've both noted that we've been in communication and trying to be supportive of what has been an on and off set of conflicts regarding use of the Marie Reed soccer fields. So this is a proposed resolution that was originally drafted by some community members, and I helped kind of wit a little bit. Commissioner Evans, do you want to give an introduction to this, or do you prefer that I do, or could you both do it?
Okay, yeah, you can go ahead and start.
So basically, there's kind of a couple questions. The short term, like small, or not short term, immediately relevant to Adams Morgan, the field is used by a permit holder several nights a week, at least for this, I think, spring season. I think they divide it into seasons. So there's an organization that is pretty commonly using public space around the city through the permitting process for sports like kickball, flag football, et cetera, pickleball. Pickleball is the real heated one, but this is not pickleball, but it's gotten escalated. So there's a group that has permits to use the field for flag football. There's another group that informally has been playing pickup soccer for, I think, over a decade on the field. And in many circumstances, the two groups have coexisted, even though the permit holder is, by permit regulations, allowed to say they want anyone else to get off of the fields. Fields are scarce in the area and people want to play, so most of the time they work well together. A few weeks ago, there were tensions that escalated between the groups, and threats of violence were made. Accusations of the threats actually coming from the other group were also made. A special police officer was called. The special police officer allegedly was very unprofessional. MPD was contacted, and they clarified that it wasn't their officer that did that. It was a separate officer, not under MPD's realm. Went to Commissioner Evans and I were both at kind of a neighborhood group that's different districts organize meetings that are run by a neighbor. I think this neighbor is an ANC or two away from us, but went to that meeting at the 3rd District Station on V Street. So been in contact trying to basically keep people from hurting each other. And like Commissioner Evans said, it's, at least for the last week or two, calmed down. But it's hard to figure out who even has jurisdiction, kind of like the park, who has jurisdiction over the fields. Like I think the basketball court and the school and the soccer fields and maybe some other spaces are kind of like different agencies. So the soccer field, as far as I have learned, is DCPS public schools property, so it's their jurisdiction, but they don't have staff that deals with permits for using the space. So DGS has a person that actually runs the permitting on behalf of DCPS. I think DPR is involved elsewhere on the property, but not here specifically. So I put all 3 of those on this resolution to basically say, hey, there's not a lot of space, and if a group has a permit for the entire field, they can kick people off. That hasn't happened, thankfully, but it's escalated. So it's basically asking for there to be a process that, in reverse order how they're listed, I think. fields can be shared. So instead of saying you just get the field, that it can be you get some of the field, and that's the permit. And also so that there's public time allotted. I kind of arbitrarily put, I think, like 1 hour a weekday night after 5 p.m. or something. I forget. But it's like I said, arbitrary to try to just draw attention to the need for unstructured public space use to be available. This is something disclaimer, this resolution I also helped craft, I think in 2021, regarding the field at Walter Pierce Park. There were no threats of violence over the use of that park. It was just chained off and no one could use it. So a couple commissioners did a petition and a survey to try to say, hey, we think that people would like to have sometimes access to this without having to be a paid member of a group that pays money for the permit. One last note, when I did talk to someone at DGS, his first response was, well, that group does send us a lot of money. So it's kind of this tension, the bigger picture issue besides just this field. It's the bigger picture of tension between organizations that pay a lot of money and help, fund some things in the city that are objectively pretty good for kids, to people that are already paying taxes and have a right to use that space. So hopefully it's a resolution, at least in my mind, I wrote it, a resolution that can kind of try to bridge some of these tensions and potentially keep it so that there's no escalating threats of violence in public space so that people can coexist, and to kind of, it's possible that any permit holder can just kind of graciously say, yeah, we'll let this group play soccer on the side of the fields or whatever, but this is a way to kind of codify it so there's a more formal process in the future. I said one last comment, I lied. Another final real comment. In June, they're going to rip off the field and resurface it anyway, so that could play into this, maybe even conveniently, to where the tensions will die because people can't actually physically access the field for a few months, and maybe this can coincide with getting efforts to change the permitting process for the fall if things go well. That's a lot of stuff to talk about. What's a relatively specific resolution? I don't got questions, comments, concerns. All right, this did not come from a committee, it just kind of came up quickly, and it seemed a bit timely because a couple weeks got very heated, because it's usually on Tuesday nights that this was getting a bit much. Commissioner Evans, do you have anything else to say? Did I cover it okay?
No, yeah, you did a great job. Yeah, exactly. But like I said, yeah, last Tuesday, again, the Tuesday before, everybody got along fine. So I think both sides are really to just trying to get along and work together. So I think because of all the attention that was given to it. So I feel confident that they are, just trying to work things out, and like you said, I don't think they're interested in taking up the whole field. They just want to have the main field and the most playing space. So that's my opinion. But hopefully it'll, what happened in the past was in the past. We were thinking about the one gentleman that did assault the gentleman with giving him a stay away order. But then after these last 2 weeks of him being there and being calm and amenable, we just said forget it. We're not even gonna pursue that. So
That's good
I
to
think
know.
I think it's good.
And I know you spend a bunch of time helping out those people out with that as well. So that's from me, and I think from others, definitely well appreciated, and it's
Oh
really
yeah,
good.
and I will continue to go there, every Tuesday and for the next month or so, just to make sure.
So I said I had one last comment a couple times, and I lied a couple times. I forgot one other thing. There was also in some of these altercations calling of the police, which was kind of related to racist accusations, claiming that Spanish speakers were, because they're Spanish speakers, gang members.
Right.
I speak Spanish, I've spoken to them, and that's unacceptable.
Ex-
But related to that, the use of police to try to implement field regulations is something that generally and also specifically in this political moment is to many very unfavorable, to say the least, especially because of questions of migratory status getting brought in, and it's extremely infuriating and stressful. So I forget if this is even in the text of the resolution, but it's at least related to it, to try to make sure that DCPS is utilizing ulterior ways to enforce those that it's not police officers. They have, I think, people that do that, they told me. So supposedly they've come by on a Tuesday or two. I'm not sure if that, I didn't see anyone with like a uniform, but that's a
Right.
part of the discussion as well. So hopefully this resolution can kind of push for peace, and this is an attempt to do so. So
I just want to say, I love that phrasing, push for peace. And I just want to say that at some point it would be great to actually address this overarching issue of like taxpayer money and having access to parks. And it is a weird thing that there are certain parks that are completely permitted all the time, because when it's just the regular resident, pick up soccer is like, or pick up basketball is like a thing that people do. And it would be nice if you live in Ward 1 to actually be able to access the parks to do those things.
I totally agree. And like looking at the listed, at least for the current season, the listed permanent hours, like there's some, I think, on the weekends kind of geared towards that open public use, but during the week, after work and school hours, there's like you have to go at like 10:30 at night, which you're not allowed to do as much because there's noise regulations and light rate stuff. So yeah, this is kind of an attempt to try to push for that. Like I agree with you, it's a broader issue. And like I said earlier, pickleball is usually the thing that gets this out of people. So maybe we can talk about that later, because pickleball dispute is also an issue
Oh
on
yeah.
the basketball courts at the same property. So yeah, it's not an active issue as far as I know, but it doesn't take much for that to change. So all right, it's getting late. We have one more item.
Yeah.
So Student Cover Committee, I'll move that we submit this and try to get it going. Can I get a second?
Second.
Thank you, Commissioner. All's in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstentions? Passes 6-0. All right, last item on the agenda, World Pride discussion. Commissioner Diamond, do you propose this? You want to take it over? If not, that's okay.
What did you ask me?
But World Pride discussion, ways we can
Oh,
support.
no, I just was wondering if anybody, I don't know what we can do, but I just think anything that we can do that is supportive. And I'm not sure what needs are there, or maybe this is something that we can discuss in some committee, like public safety and environment, but I feel like there will be some needs with Pride. I don't right now. It just came to me like 5 minutes before the meeting, so I didn't have a chance to think about it.
So I can just comment one thing. I mean, DC isn't quite the same as like DuPont or Logan, but I mean, there's some LGBT, like outwardly marketed as LGBTQ establishments in the neighborhood. At least one of the business owners had mentioned, I think it was actually one of our meetings. I forget if it was ABC committee or this meeting, but they were like, yeah, we would like to, oh, it was when we were talking about, what's it called? Liquor licenses, of course. So I think maybe it was a big ABC meeting, but basically they were like, yeah, if there's pub crawls not happening, maybe that should be something that should be considered for World Pride. It's not a thing that a lot of people came getting upset. I'm not suggesting that's the thing that's not at the table here, but in that conversation, another conversation came where they said, yeah, we would actually benefit from having porta potties during Pride outside our place because we expect big crowds. I've been trying to help get those. I don't know if I saw him in the park, the owner I'm talking about from pictures. He said it's going well, so hopefully that'll come together. But that's a type of thing, maybe. I mean, it is kind of last minute, so there's only so much we can do with our little facade of authority. But I mean, anyone else have any ideas or comments on what might be feasible? I mean, some of it might just be not as commissioners as well, but or at least as an individual commissioners and not collectively as a commission, to just go to agencies that we think might be relevant to things that might be happening because of Pride and bringing people to the neighborhood like that. Any other thoughts? Those are mine. Anyone in attendance got thoughts? All right. Anything else, commissioners? Thanks for lasting 2.5 hours. I'll move to adjourn. Have a good evening. And thank you again for your service, Commissioner Michael Horowitz. Looking forward to see you around as a regular citizen, Daniel.
Thank you. Good night, everyone.